This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Effizode 642. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer, plus the return of the feature, Do You Know Dat, where we look at some stories about things you didn't know about in the world of science. And this interesting bit of science news we'll find out that has to do with fishing wire.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Or fishing line or line. Is that what the fishermen just call it? Get the line. I let my fishing license expire.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Because I don't fish that much. Hey, this was something that happened on yesterday's show. We went back in time to ancient Egypt because we wanted to know about a date Madame Rutabaga went on with a pharaoh and got a milkshake. But then it turned out we saw a Katy Perry music video being filmed. Oh, wait, that's a fake. No, it's not. It really happened. That was yesterday's show.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And today I think we'll have to do something about my voice.
Mike's
because I can't sing
Daily
these intro songs very well.
Podcast.
Need a music lesson.
Yeah!
And hopefully I'll get one today. You know, I didn't need a lumberjack lesson, but yesterday I was a lumberjack. I cut down a dead tree in my backyard. Did it all by myself. It was amazing. I got a piece of rope and threw it over one of the top branches, and then I cut the tree so that I got it, I cut almost all the way through the tree trunk. And then I went over, it was still standing, so I went over and pulled the rope and was able to pull it down so it wouldn't fall on my neighbor, which is a nice thing for me to do. Because otherwise, I think the way it was leaning, if I would have continued cutting, it would have fallen into my neighbor's backyard. So anyway, it worked and it was successful. Successful mission. Yay. Tree is now dismantled. It had long been dead, and it had been one of those trees that branches keep falling off of. Every time there was a strong wind, it would plop another big branch down. I don't want that to hit my dog, Basil the Boxer, or hit my neighbor, for that matter. And for that matter, I think that if you are starting a website, you should be very clear and not have a bunch of big gaping questions and holes in your website. So this is what I found out. I got a USB port the other day, and it came with 5 gigabytes of free cloud storage. Okay, so I go to this website to claim my cloud storage. I do everything they tell me to do, and then there's nowhere on the website to upload anything to a cloud. There's no upload bubbles or bars, windows, whatever you want to call them. There's nothing that says about downloading an app to your smartphone, because that's the way you have to upload it. Nothing. So I'm one of these people that I don't let this stand. I go and find the email, and then I fire off an email saying, what the heck? Why is your website so confusing? Are you one of these people that don't even feedback? I'm wondering if people don't feedback much anymore, and that's why these companies make these humongous mistakes when they're starting a website. But I need to get to my singing lesson now. Look who just walked in.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor, and if you want to have a singing lesson, you have to do your scales.
Oh no, scales, really? Then I don't want to do a singing lesson. Let's forget it.
Okay.
What's going on in your gift shop lately?
Mike Matthews, there are all kinds of wonderful things in my gift shop. For one thing, there are a bunch of snow globes.
I thought you were going to stop selling snow globes because the last time you had a bunch that ended up being alien pods eggs or something disgusting like that.
That's right, Mike Matthews. But I got a bunch of nice snow globes. These are really nice, and they have different scenes and panoramas in them.
Oh, that's nice. Like what kind of themes?
Well, like lots of mermaids, and you shake it, and there's little starfish that float around. It's really nice.
Ah, well, today's show has a bit of a nautical theme, so that's going to fit in perfectly with the rest of the show.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, look who else just walked in. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman!
And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I think you are really
amazing that you're able to be a lumberjack as well as a podcaster. Maybe there's a market for podcasting lumberjacks. Yeah, that's great. So you're going to cut down a bunch of other trees? No, that was my only one, and it was dead. Notice it was a dead tree. The living trees I leave alone. Leaves, trees, and then lumberjacks are the ones they go in and they kill living trees for profit. What if it's a tree that's about to fall on somebody's house? Well, yeah. What if they gotta cut down a tree so you can have a piece of paper that you can write down stupid scripts like this one that you have for us to read today? Mike, because I'm Floyd the Floorman. That's what it says right here. Quit hitting the script against the microphone. I thought people would like it if I did that. They don't. Okay. All right, now you're improvising. Stop improvising. We cannot improvise on this show. Bad news all around.
Perhaps, Mike Matthews, you should tell one of your interesting nautical stories.
Yes, this is a brand new story. It just came out about scientists who have developed an inexpensive artificial muscle fiber from nylon sewing thread and polyethylene fishing line. This is from the University of Texas, Dallas. It could successfully replace the much weaker and expensive synthetic muscles that are produced today. These muscles might be used in robots, prosthetic limbs, or in fabrics that expand when the weather is warmer and contract when it's cold outside. Scientists say the fiber muscles are similar to that of a human's, as that they are able to lift at least 100 times as much as human muscles and are the same weight and length, according to the UtahPeoplesPost.com. So what they did to create the artificial muscle was they twisted and curled polymer fishing line and sewing thread. The twists were done with the help of a power drill. The twisted fibers make a synthetic muscle which has the ability to drive a heavy rotor at a rate of about 10,000 revolutions per minute. Really? So you're like spinning a wheel around 10,000 revolutions per minute. These muscles can generate about 3 horsepower per pound, which is equivalent of a jet engine. What? Unbelievable. These fake muscle fibers can contract to about 50% of their size. Earlier synthetic muscles were created from the materials, which included carbon nanotubes and also metal wiring. However, these are costly to produce and control. Yes, Mike, synthetic muscles are really interesting, but what's very interesting is a synthetic mustache. What do you mean? I have created the world's first synthetic mustache. What? Wait a minute. There's fake mustaches. Actors use them on TV all the time. They're very popular during Halloween. No, I have created the first synthetic mustache that can lift a jet engine. Wow, that's amazing. What's it made out of? Polymer fishing line. Amazing. Wow. Do you know about this, Floyd? Yeah, I'm wearing a synthetic mustache right now. Okay, all right, we got the point. So, make a demonstration with your synthetic mustache. Okay, I'm going to lift the entire last place on Earth now with my mustache. Here we go. Whoa, he's lifting up the last place on Earth. Everything's falling over. You dropped this, Floyd the Floorman. Sorry, Mike. It's only in its beta version, Mike. Oh, okay. Well, that's fascinating. So what do you think about synthetic muscles made out of fishing line? What do you think about being a lumberjack and being okay and working all night and working all day? And what do you think about websites that don't have everything all working when they're supposed to be working? And do you do the feedback thing? Do you click on the feedback, get them an email letting them know? Do you do any of those surveys? I get so many surveys sent to my email, and they're always, hey, if you do fill out this survey, you might win a brand new toothpick. Always dangling that carrot in front of the donkey. Oh, wow, there's a carrot in front of me right now. Let me try and get it.
I'm using it to lead you into the gift shop so that you'll buy one of my new nautical-themed snow globes.
Okay, maybe later. I'm taking a break from carrots anyway. It's all about the radishes. Email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. I read your comments on the section emails for email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you would like to sponsor the show. And there's the website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-Podcast.com. Go to that wonderful website that is fairly simple to use and does not cause great confusion like others do. At my website, if you click on the link to iTunes, that'll take you to where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, and you can rate and comment on the show there. If you do that, more people find out about us. There's also a link to where to listen to the show at the Facebook page. Go to the Facebook page and like it. And when I post a new show, share it with your friends so that more people find out about Mike's Daily Podcast. There's also links to where to listen to us in SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher. There's links to where to catch us at YouTube and Yelp and Twitter. And there's the Amazon deal of the day. Click on that and buy something at a discount. And you get something for a great price, and we get support through Amazon for you doing that. It's a cool little system, in theory. So check that all out at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. It's also got the blog and the Daily Podcast picture.
It's Bison Bentley's Do You Know Dat?
Hey, this is Bison Bentley, and Mike Matthews has a couple of stories that'll make you want to ask yourself, do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know
Yes,
that?
Bison Bentley asked us a question that we should all try and ask ourselves. Do we know dat? And today's topic, do we know dat about science? In particular, the topic of the ocean, and there are some interesting stories here about the ocean. Kick it off, Toto. Let's rock
We
it.
spotted the ocean at the head of the trail.
From Santa Barbara, California, where I went to school, UCSB. In 1938, however, let's jump up to San Francisco in the Bay Area. Richard Shorty Roberts, the proprietor of the San Francisco roadhouse Roberts at the Beach, owned a horse named Blackie. This according to Ernest Beale of the newspaper The Marina Times, marinatimes.com. Shorty's roadhouse was a popular spot that attracted what in those days were called sports. That would be newspaper reporters, card players, cops, racing fans, and the like. C.S. Howard, owner of the famed racer Seabiscuit, hung out there. Later racer enthusiasts included Bing Crosby. He could be found there soaking up the equine atmosphere. Soaking up the equine atmosphere. Boom, boom, boom. Along with highballs. Going to the what are those? An old drink that gets you drunk. Going to the track, playing the horses was a way of life with this crowd. So it was that one day in September of that year, 1938, that Bill Kine, who owned the Bay Meadows race course in San Mateo, dropped by Shorty's place. Now, Blackie was a swayback 12-year-old. He was a rodeo horse who later became a U.S. Army cavalry animal stabled at San Francisco's Presidio. In the spring, he would be sent to Yosemite to serve with the park patrol. One day, Bill Kine and Shorty were talking about their favorite subject over a few pints of beer. Kine happened to mention that horses couldn't swim. Not so, said Shorty. Shorty insisted that horses could indeed swim and that his horse, Blackie, was a fine swimmer. In fact, he could swim across the Golden Gate. Kine offered a wager. He offered to bet Shorty $5,000 that Blackie couldn't do it. The wager was scaled down to a reasonable $1,000, still a lot of money in those days. The two gamblers set the parameters. Blackie would attempt to swim from Lime Point in Marin County to Crissy Field in San Francisco, across the Golden Gate, which later would be, in fact, where the Golden Gate Bridge would be erected. The SPCA heard about the wager and convinced the Army at Lime Point, the fortified military reservation, not to allow Blackie to begin his challenging swim. But Shorty's friend A.P. Palladini, who operated a large wholesale seafood operation, was there to help. On October 1st, 1938, the Palladini fishing trawler lowered Blackie by a sling into the San Francisco Bay just offshore from Lime Point. A rowboat led the way, with Shorty's brother offering sugar cubes as encouragement, but Blackie needed no encouragement, and Shorty, who couldn't swim, donned a life preserver, covering his body in protective grease, and clutched Blackie's tail for the long pull. So undaunted by the choppy Golden Gate waters, Blackie set out to horse paddle all the way to San Francisco and into the history books, the only horse to ever swim the Golden Gate. The swim took 23 minutes and 15 seconds. Blackie emerged from the water not even breathing hard. Shorty won his bet, and Roberts at the beach celebrated with a big party. A commemorative china plate was created. Later, Blackie retired to a Tiburon pasture. He lived a long and idle life, and now a life-size sculpture of Blackie stands in his place. Horse fanciers can pay homage at Blackie's Pasture Park, Tiburon Boulevard, and Trestle Glen Road. There is a short film, actually, of Blackie's historic swim on the internet.
In the Navy, yes, you can sail the seven seas. In the Navy, yes, you can.
Yes, the Navy is seeking a way to do underwater what the Air Force has been doing in the sky. Prowl stealthily for long periods of time and gather the kind of data that could turn the tide in war. Wow, a lot of water symbolism. This article written in Time magazine by Mark Thompson. In a new twist, the Navy has found a way to power an eventual fleet of 150 submersible drones from the ocean itself, increasing deployment times and cutting fuel costs. The drone, known as the Slocum Glider, changes density in response to the outside water, causing the 5-foot-long torpedo-like vessel to rise or sink through the ocean's bands of warm and cool water at and below its surface. The stubby wings translate some of that up and down motion into a forward sawtooth-like path at about a mile an hour. Collecting data about water temperature and currents, the drone transmits such information, used to generate better sonar images, to headquarters by sticking its tail-borne antenna out of the water. But the drones are also being enlisted to scout enemy coastlines, where they could help the Navy hunt down minefields and target subs without putting sailors at risk.
I am El Nino. All other tropical storms must bow before El Nino.
The late, great Chris Farley there. Well, El Nino is on the way. In an article here written by Brian Walsh in Time magazine, last year, late November and December saw early snow and bone-chilling temperatures in much of the country, part of a year when, for the first time in 2 decades, record cold days will have outnumbered record warm ones. But the U.S. was the exception. November was the warmest ever globally, and the data indicates that 2013 was the 4th hottest year on record. 2014 will be even hotter. Perhaps the hottest year since records have been kept. That's because scientists are predicting 2014 will be an El Nino year. El Nino, Spanish for the boy, occurs when surface ocean waters in the southern Pacific become abnormally warm. So large is the Pacific, covering 30% of the planet's surface, that the additional energy generated by its warming is enough to tip off an array of weather changes around the world. El Ninos are associated with abnormally dry conditions in Southeast Asia and Australia, and a weakening of the Indian monsoon. They can lead to extreme rain in parts of North and South America, even as Southern Africa experiences drought. Marine life may be affected too. El Ninos can reduce the upwelling of the cold, nutrient-rich water that supports large fish populations, and the unusually warm ocean temperatures can destroy coral. It's not just the weather that gets worse. The strong 1997-98 El Nino cost the U.S. an estimated $25 billion, and studies have linked the phenomenon to outbreaks of tropical diseases and higher rates of civil war. There's even research indicating that a powerful El Nino from 1789 to 1793 devastated crop yields in Europe, which in turn helped spark the French Revolution. The 3 warmest years on record, 1998, 2005, and 2010, were all El Nino years. In fact, 2013 was unusual because it was so hot, despite the fact that there was no El Nino, a sign of just how much global warming has increased.
4, 3, 2, 1, Earth below us, drifting, falling, floating.
Okay, this doesn't have to do with oceans. Well, I guess kind of, because spacecraft used to have to land in the ocean after we sent it up into space. But this has to do with spaceships. The private space race is on. Here's a look at the ventures that are changing the way we explore the galaxy, according to Noah Raymond in Time magazine. SpaceX, the company founded in 2002 by Elon Musk, which I wear, and it really drives the women crazy. The entrepreneur behind the PayPal and the electric car maker Tesla Motors is now vital to the future of the International Space Station. In 2014, SpaceX plans to launch 4 missions to resupply the space station as part of a $1.6 billion contract for 12 deliveries. Meanwhile, the company's Falcon Heavy, expected to be the world's most powerful rocket when it launches this year, will carry larger loads into space. Sierra Nevada Corp, no, they don't make the beer, hopes to create the first privately designed spacecraft to deliver astronauts rather than cargo to the International Space Station, with a Dream Chaser, which looks like a more refined version of the ships in the now defunct U.S. Space Shuttle program. The company is competing for the chance to be NASA's taxi service, along with SpaceX, Boeing, and others. Then there's Virgin Galactic, created by, of course, founder Richard Branson, who says his Spaceship 2 is on track to begin taking passengers into the edges of the atmosphere in 2014. Tickets aren't cheap. They're going roughly for $250,000, but more than 600 people have already signed up to be among the first space tourists in history and the first to fly a private space airline. Up next, space hotels and trips to Mars, Branson says. And then relative old-timer Orbital Science Corp, which has sent commercial research and defense satellites into space since 1982, successfully connected with the International Space Station in 2013, paving the company's way to be the only firm besides SpaceX contracted with NASA to keep the space station equipped. As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Speaking of oceans and beaches and things, there's a picture of me on the beach with Basil the Boxer. Yes, it's over at SoCal, California. It sounds like they're saying SoCal, California, but it's SoCal, right next to Capitola. Not quite warm enough to, let's say, stand out on the beach in a bikini here in the Bay Area, for sure. Southern California is probably a bit warmer and a bit nicer, too, if you wanted to go out there in your bathing suit. Still not super summer pleasant yet, though. But you can see that picture at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-Science-2-22-14.
Mike Matthews, I just sold all the nautical-themed snow globes.
Wow, why is that?
Because all your stories about nautical things, like fishing line mussels and horses that swim great expanses of water, people like that, and they want little snow globes that have to do with it.
Oh, that's great. So you made a bunch of money, and now what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to go to the beach.
All right.
In the French Riviera.
Oh, wow, you made some money then.
That's right, Mike Matthews, and I'm single and free, and I'm a woman.
So, like, look out, right, Chely?
What is that supposed to mean?
Like, just, the world is your oyster, look out.
The world's my oyster? That's, like, so disgusting.
I'm just not getting through to you. Tomorrow, we will bring you the return of the feature Into an Interview, where I'll be talking to fitness expert SHAY DE SILVA about fun ways to get into shape before the beach season really gets here. And starting early gives you more time to get ready, right? So we'll also hear from Benita, the rodeo queen, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike, tell me, how many downloads are you getting? Are your downloads going up because you've been doing the show and you've been posting it on Facebook, on the Facebook page? Have your downloads been going up?
Shut up! Why are you all concerned all of a sudden?
I don't think my synthetic mustache is going to get off the ground.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, literally, it's not going to get off the ground. Look, it's welded itself deep into the Earth's crust. It may even be deep into the Earth's mantle.
It's not on Floyd anymore, is it? No, Mike, I'm going facial hairless like you! How do you like it? So naked! Good thing I'll have a 5 o'clock shadow in about 3 seconds. Wow, so manly. Like a lumberjack. Yeah, and I'm not afraid to do my scales. La 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 la. Please stop.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Morgen Harked.